I have a very Sam and Diane relationship with Klipsch. At times, I have found their products quite charming, and other times, mind-warpingly frustrating, unreliable, brutish, and cheap. I've noticed the further Klipsch ventures from simple-powered speakers, the more their electrical and software engineering shortcomings fill the diaper. Right here, well, I kind of shift around, so in this general location, I will dive nose first into the next generation of Klipsch soundbars developed in collaboration with Onkyo, more accomplished electron pushers, and determine whether the new strategy can propel the brand forward by delivering the natural, inviting sound for which Klipsch is renowned, while, and this is key, offering reliable, confidence-inspiring hardware and software on a product more complicated than this. Will this be a redemption story or just sad? I hope you brought popcorn and a fizzy drink. Ladies and gentle people, behold, the new $500 Flexus line flagship, the Core 200, along with the $300 Sub 100 and $250 Surr. Klipsch, you're doing a thing. Clearly this can't be official. Oh, bag of beans, it's official. Surround 100. This will be a difficult video. Yes, it's possible that those with an overactive imagination will develop a conspiracy theory in which a higher number, totally random like 200, is attached to beefier versions of these peripherals, and that they're just waiting in the wings, ready to pounce the second the 100s arrive at your doorstep. This seems completely unfounded, other than a Klipsch customer service agent confirming that a 200 sub and surround are definitely on the way. Let's talk setup. It's a simple plug and play for the most part. All the components require power. The surround speakers come with a pre-paired dongle that plugs into the back of the soundbar. I advise you get your system connected to the new Klipsch Connect Plus app. Klipsch Connect OG is your app no longer. Connect Plus will help to verify that connections with the surrounds and sub are established and prompt you to install any pending OTA updates. The sub connects to the soundbar with or without a wire, but for now I'll assume you're going wireless. Position the rear speakers behind you if possible, but at the very least, get them facing you. Have some self-respect. There is no room tuning feature, but I will talk about the sound levers in the sound adjustment chapter. Design and build. The Core 200 is solid and dense. Holding it, you just know it's filled to the brim with soundbar stuff. It inspires confidence physically in a way that the Cinema series did not. It doesn't feel like some fuse is gonna blow and burn your house down if you look at it wrong. One of the biggest aesthetic differences is that no drivers are exposed or merely covered by cloth. All the drivers are protected behind a plastic grill, both in front and on top, meaning your pets and kids are gonna have a tough time completely destroying your soundbar. A coarse speaker cloth runs along the front and sides, interrupted only by Klipsch's new 1950s Diner Core logo, hanging down on the top right. Klipsch did carry over a Cinema 1200 style display, one of the best parts of that product. It's extremely large, totally readable, and monochrome. The bar controls are on top, they're capacitive, large, and vertically stacked. The ports do point straight back, so no frickin' cramped, cord-bending, neck-straining funny business that makes you say naughty words.
Nearsighted gynecologist.
The surrounds are completely covered in plastic and also features the new Klipsch 50s style retro round logo in the front. The speaker is a little smaller than I was imagining, but certainly not humorously small. Don't bully it or anything like that. They are well built for their price point, though this is not totally surprising as a la carte purchases tend to have an elevated build quality and style. It's aesthetically pleasing with a pleasant rounding connecting the top and front. The power port, sync button, status light, and funky feet are all on the bottom. In a world where this is still happening, many props to these decently built surrounds at a reasonable price. The Sub 100, I think it's snazzy looking. Gone are the lethal corners and Euclidean edges, now replaced by an uninterrupted curved wood panel wrapped along the meridian. The power port, sync buttons, and cord management hardware, not normal, are in the back. The front face and grille are both concave, bringing even more curves to the ensemble. It's all very PG-13. Each component's design is refreshingly original yet reserved and strikingly well crafted compared to Klipsch's previous standards. Good on you, Klipsch. We should do whatever the newest high five thing is. Driver array. The 4-component system I'm reviewing has 5.1.2 channels. The bar is a 3.1.2 channel speaker made of 6 woofers, 2 subwoofers, and 1 tweeter. The center channel has dual 2¼ inch woofers and a 3/4 inch horn-loaded tweeter. All the directional channels, including the height channels, are a single 2¼ inch woofer. The subwoofers sit beside the upward firing drivers and are both 4 inches. 1 tweeter against 6 woofers and 2 subwoofers. Bold move. The Surround 100s each have a single generously sized 3-inch paper cone full range woofer right in the front. The Sub 100, a 10-inch woofer in the front, no other funny business to report. Sound adjustments. As mentioned, there is no room tuning feature, so you gotta make some big boy decisions. You got 2 sound modes, music and movie. My take is that movie made the sound come across a little more atmospheric and diffuse, and the music mode a bit more focused, but the difference is not dramatic. Further, you got 4 dialogue levels: off, low, mid, and high. I tended to settle between off and low. Anything above that starts to gnaw at the integrity. And yes, there is a night setting for killing the bass and loud noises. You can adjust bass, mid, and treble EQ bands by choosing one of 5 presets or by manually adjusting to your liking. Each band goes from negative to positive 6 decibels. And yes, there are a few channelish level adjustments, including front height, rear, and bass. Controls, the trifecta: bar, remote, and app. The bar, volume, power, and input. The remote feels middling, kind of average in terms of quality. I think the layout is well considered, and most sound adjustments can be executed with limited effort. Line of sight is not required. The Klipsch Connect Plus app is dramatically improved in terms of stability and modestly improved in terms of layout and looking pretty. In the app, you can do everything the remote does in a more graphical way. Other system settings like auto power down timers, sound effects, and updates are exclusive to the app. Wireless connectivity, Bluetooth. What? Stop staring. This system does not connect to the internet except through the app, so no AirPlay, Chromecast, Spotify Connect, or other jazzy things. Codec support. Klipsch, being Klipsch, continues to enjoy withholding DTS. It's a strange kink that seems to make people hot and bothered for other companies' products. Otherwise, you have full Dolby and LPCM support, which covers many Blu-rays, and Dolby Digital Plus, which is what all the video streamers use. Your DTS Blu-rays either convert them to PCM with your Blu-ray player, or I hear they make delightful wall art. Ports, eARC, but this victory is short-lived as there are no accompanying HDMI inputs. They really should have put at least one in there to keep the good feels coming. Optical is included, which acts as a true separate input from eARC. I suggest you use it for your CD player and not your TV, as it will dramatically limit your audio in most cases, prohibiting formats like Dolby Digital Plus and Atmos. In a familiar Klipsch move, you're given a sub-out port, which gives you the option to hardwire any powered sub you want, including a Flexus Sub 100. This port can also be used to add a second powered sub of your choice. Yes, including a second sub 100. Sound quality. The concepts that kept popping into my head while listening were competent, grounded, robust, and a safe bet. If you were to buy this system, I find it hard to believe that you would be dramatically disappointed by the sound. Now, I put dramatically in there because I fear the sound is lacking an it factor, meaning I had trouble finding that hook or personality trait that gives the system charisma, a gravity, so to speak. 3 official systems for which I have such feelings: the Quad, the Arc with 300s, and the Nakamichi Dragon. Are there more? I've already said too much. This dig should not be perceived as devastating. I was mostly satisfied and often surprised with the presentation. That's what she said. I think the first thing you'll notice just talking the bar is that it's far more bass competent. Less generous would be bass forward, a darker sound than the Cinema series bars, which all sported 2 more tweeters. You definitely get a stuffed middle, as you should have come to expect from Klipsch, which I think really pays dividends across all kinds of content. The big sound effects like explosions, crashes, menacing orchestration, and lower voice registers are treated generously and regularly have a stirring impact. One critical realization I had browsing through different kinds of content is there's a massive galaxy-wide gap in energy and spatial prowess depending on audio format. I streamed Oppenheimer, which was just Dolby 5.1, and the movie sounded disappointingly confined to the components. For better or worse, unlike many other soundbars, there's not an effort to super upmix and homebrew 3D all the audio. In the Oppenheimer case, this choice resulted in an extremely modest soundstage and a perplexingly ginger use of the surrounds, which came across as flaccid and underwhelming. When streaming an Atmos movie like Dune Part 2 or Transformers, whichever one, it sounded as though I switched to a much more expensive system. You get height effects, strong directional effects, and a much wider soundstage, making the presentation far more cinematic. General advice: with soundbars, I really would prioritize 3D formats as it offsets their front separation limitation, in particular with this system. With its 4 dialogue modes and a mid-range EQ manual adjuster, the Core 200 offers ample flexibility to find a setting that makes dialogue easy to hear. I typically kept the dialogue level on low, which worked well for me. However, if vocal clarity is a top priority, this soundbar may not meet your expectations. My top 2 recommendations for superior dialogue clarity are the Dragon and the criminally underrated Polk Magnify Max AX SR. Music prosecuted its case pretty effectively, in large part to the strong middle, which I tend to heavily associate with the capacity to make songs older than my microwaved Hot Pocket sound reasonable. So much of the new stuff is so heavily quantized, auto-tuned, sanitized that regardless of system nuance, it reduces differences between bars. This bar gives the dusty, imperfect stuff enough warmth and nutrition to give it a sign-off. I'm gonna repeat it until YouTube tells me to stop. To max this system's potential, play 3D audio music via HDMI. Doing this will make the front sound more separated and get the rears involved in an interesting way. Embrace that a soundbar system is not a stereo system. Trying to force it into that mold will give you underwhelming results. Streaming over Bluetooth will turn the system into, well, a Bluetooth speaker, which... Okay, let's talk the surrounds and sub. With the surrounds, and I'm going to repeat myself a bit because I need to drive this home, I noticed a night and day performance depending on format. If it was 5.1 or Bluetooth, whatever, the performance was extremely underwhelming. When switching to Atmos, the darn things came alive and all of a sudden sounded big and thick for the size, like they belonged in the same room as the bar, and provided a reassuring reminder of why they were purchased. If you're planning on listening to a lot of Atmos content, these are a must get. unless you're holding out for the possibility of a 200 product, which is 100% gonna get announced the second your 100s are delivered. The sub 100, what can I say? It did its job. It never really amazed nor bugged me. Does it get particularly deep? No. Does it do its part to generate a big sound when it's called upon? Yes. Okay, so what about going with 2 subs or replacing the Flexus sub 100? I do have this bias that soundbars are highly specialized and temperamental, and going with a sub that is made and tuned specifically for that soundbar is the safest bet. But I just can't help being awesome, so I put the Klipsch R100SW in the mix to help figure out if it's a good replacement to the sub 100 and or a good second sub option. Placing the R100SW alongside the sub 100, well, you definitely get more low end, but it too often became overwhelming and poorly balanced. If you're kind of a floozy for bass,
and yeah, sure, maybe you are achieving sound.
Never enough bass is your motto. It may be right up your alley, but for every, oh, we got low moment, there were 2 can we rein it back moments that took me out of the flow. I'll admit I could have spent more time optimizing the mix, but my impression was that over time, it would become a bit of a chore. Replacing the sub 100 with a single R100SW made more sense to me. It is less expensive, far more potent, and you have a gain adjuster to play with that potency. But again, I do sense that to get the response such that it's not overwhelming, yet more robust than the sub 100, will require consistent fiddling, and is more likely to annoy the family who may have less patience with this stuff than you. Higher highs, lower lows, no pun intended, with the BYO sub, I predict. Wrap up. I know I said this bar is not particularly special. That being said, it is special for the price, and talking just sound, I kind of think it at least half belongs in the flagship big boy room. When it's cooking, this Flexus core system does not sound like a budget bar. If I were to showcase the Q990D Bar 9 in this system, and had every one of you listen to them, I'm really not all that sure which system would be ranked the highest on sound. There are 3 distinct characters here. Compared to the Cinema 1200, it may not be as muscular or punishing, but it's certainly the start of a better direction. That, I predict, will eventually completely eclipse the Cinema 1200 in stability, build robustness, and sound quality. I foresee a Flexus Core 300 in the next 18 months, and it will completely shut the door on the Cinema series. Let's review the cons and pros. Cons: no extra inputs, no DTS support, underwhelming traditional 5.1 performance, no internets, and the dark shadow of an improved surround and sub option. Pros: a big bold sound, in particular for the price, that really comes alive with Atmos. In addition, sub flexibility, dramatically improved software and connection with the app, and a high-end build. Gonna wrap this up. Show this video some love and help me reach my 40,000 sub goal by 2025, because I heard you gotta get to 40,000 before you can reach 10 million or something mathy like that. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.